Hi, grade 9s. It's me again, and I want to go through the last section for gaseous exchange, and that's the health issues. So in your books on page 60 to 61, you're going to find some information. It will be background information that you will then have in order to deal with any comprehension or case study or something. Okay, so let's just share screen. And all right, it just follows my PowerPoint, it just carries on. So this is the last bit in the PowerPoint. Okay, let's just open it. So, come on. Okay, so some of you might have asthma. Okay, now asthma, it could be something that you're born with, it could be genetic, it could be something that you develop in your childhood, it could go away, or some people could develop it later in their lives. So it's a chronic disease. Chronic means that it's something that's more long-term. And what happens here is that the airways, so the bronchi, the bronchioles, those little tubes into the lungs, they will become inflamed. So these little tubes over here, the red and the blue are the blood vessels, and the little green tubes representing the larger bronchioles and the smaller ones leading to the air sacs, the walls become inflamed and they become narrow, and therefore it's very difficult to breathe. So for those of you who have asthma, coughing, sneezing, wheezing, shortness of breath, chest tightness, those are all the different kinds of symptoms you can have. So here's the cross-section of a normal airway, a little bronchiole, and here you can see someone with an asthmatic airway. So that's what it normally looks like. Now, the bronchioles and the trachea and so on, not only do they have these rings of cartilage over here, but the walls are muscular, so they can go into a spasm. So with someone who's asthmatic, the muscle walls of these little tubes is already quite inflamed and thickened, and you can see here there's lots of mucus that's being produced as well. But when they have an asthma attack, when something that they breathe in, something in the environment causes a reaction, then you can see how the muscle walls, they go into a spasm, all right? They tighten up, and that causes the airway to become even narrower. And then it's quite difficult for air that's in the air sacs or alveoli to get out. So CO2 builds up, and that's why they battle to breathe. Well, they can't breathe out properly as well. All right, so there's a picture of a girl having an asthma attack, and I quite like this one because it shows the narrowed airway and how those muscles are going into a spasm, and you can see all the mucus and that's also being produced, and not enough air can get in or out. Now, there's a lot of things that can trigger asthma, so it could be genetic, all right? But if you look here, things that cause inflammation, swelling of those tubes, of the actual breath, of the muscular tubes of the bronchioles, anything, from pet dander. Okay, people are allergic to cats and dogs and certain plants and things. And at work, for example, people who work in paint spraying companies where they paint spray cars, panel beaters. It could be people who work at garages where we get petrol. So they're exposed to the fumes from petrol all the time. It could be certain food additives, like colorants added to our food. It could be certain medications that trigger an allergic reaction. Tobacco smoke. Gastric reflux, when some of the gastric juices go up and down the trachea. Then irritants from the environment could be a temperature change. So if it was warm and then suddenly it becomes very cold. Strong odors like thinners and turpentine, things that are used to clean paint. Other strong odors. Stress and emotions. Okay, being very anxious could trigger an asthma attack. I said cold air, and then exercise. If they over-exercise, then they can't get enough air as well. All right, these are common environmental triggers. So pollen. So at the time of spring, when all the pine trees around here, they release all that yellow pollen. It could be dust mites, which live everywhere. Right? It could be fungal mold, in bathrooms or in musty cupboards, and pet dander. Okay, that's the skin flakes from our pets. Okay, then another lung or respiratory system problem is lung cancer. Okay, so I've got quite a few images here, quite vivid. The one at the bottom shows the external surface of a a non-smoker, their lung, and here's the external surface of the person who is a smoker. And on the next page, what might happen is because the tobacco smoke that you inhale, it can cause cancer, it can cause an abnormal growth, a tumor inside the lungs. And you can see here there's 2 tumors, and then that could spread to other places. So the lung cancer can either be, a tumor that grows in the lung, or it can be from cancer elsewhere in the body where cells break off and then they end up in the lung. And then you get a secondary tumor inside the lung. All right. There's a healthy lung, and there's the lung of a person who smokes tobacco. There's an exhale person who has got a tumor in their lung. Obviously this is not from a live person, so there's the lung of a person who has got cancer, and you can see it's quite black in that from all the tar that goes down into the passages. So when people stop smoking, okay, not only do they feel that they can breathe easier, they can smell easier, they can taste easier, because the taste buds in the mouth, on the tongue are damaged, the little cilia in our nasal cavity, those little hairs are damaged, so it's difficult to get mucus and dust and that out, and the little cilia down a trachea and into the bronchioles. And when they stop smoking, then it gives a chance for those cilia to regrow, and then that dust-laden mucus with all other irritants in it comes up, and all the tar that that's in their lungs, all that black stuff. So for quite a while after they stop smoking, and they cough up all this black-colored mucus. Okay, so here's quite a vivid image of someone who has had their lung removed because of lung cancer. But then I just happened to come across a new kind of surgery, robotic-assisted surgery, on the internet while I was looking for some things, and it allows them to do less invasive surgery, because that is very invasive, whereas here they just make tiny little pinhole cuts. So please go and have a look at those 2 videos. It's very interesting. All right, now smoking. There's lots of things in cigarette smoke. Okay, so carbon monoxide is the one that we are more familiar with. So that's in car exhaust. The tar, the stuff that black stuff that lines the tubes, what people cough up. The nicotine, which is the addictive part. I mean, you can put tobacco on plants and it will get rid of insect pests. Acetone is what it's in nail varnish, or you can clean paint brushes with it. Found in paint stripper. Ammonia is that very strong smelling chemical that helps us to clean surfaces like in handy. Arsenic is a type of poison to kill rats. You get benzene, which is in petrol fumes, and benzene also helps we use it to clean paintbrushes. Butane is lighter fuel, all right? Formaldehyde is what we use if we keep jars of dead organisms or bits in our labs, and that's what we actually preserve these organisms or organs in. Another one here, methanol is rocket fuel. Methane is that horrible smelling gas. DDT is used as an insecticide for mosquitoes. And these are radioactive substances. So if you look at this list, are you willing to put this in your body? Okay, and then I went and found I was looking for a recent graph relating to South Africa, but I couldn't really find one, but I found a more recent one. So basically around the world, they say that cancer of the lungs is the most common one, okay? So there could be a number of reasons why people develop cancer, but smoking cancer of the lungs, but smoking is the greatest risk. And then there's others as well, lack of exercise, all right? And there could be a family history of cancer. There could be, spread of cancer from other parts of the body. Like if you get liver cancer from, an alcoholic might get liver cancer, and then that spreads to the lungs. UV radiation, or any radiation that you're exposed to, okay, people who work with X-rays. It could be pollution from the outside, but the biggest cause of lung cancer is still tobacco smoking. All right, then another health issue is bronchitis. So that's when we get a bacterial or a viral infection of the lining of our bronchial tubes. Okay, so it's similar to asthma, but it's caused by bacteria or viruses. So you can see how tubes are inflamed, and there would be little goblet cells, little mucus secreting cells, and lots of mucus would be secreted, and it would become inflamed, and trying to get this out of your body, and then your whole chest and everything gets really sick. Okay, the cilia, you can see where the cilia become damaged as well by the inflammation. Okay, so here is someone with bronchitis. So it could last for a very long time. It could be weeks, 6 weeks or so, and you can see the walls are very inflamed, and there's lots of pus-laden mucus. And it could be, you start off as a cold or flu, and then it develops into something else. Okay, now emphysema is a chronic disease that could develop when a person is much older. For example, if they smoke for decades, then when they're 50, 60, 70, then they could develop emphysema. Now, both my one grand and my one uncle, they passed away in the 80s, when I was in school, and they both had emphysema. And I remember my uncle was on oxygen, so he was sitting with an oxygen tank, trying to get enough rest, because basically what happens is the smoking over time damages the air sacs. So this is a cross section to normal air sacs. And there you can see the air sacs become damaged. There's now less surface area for gases exchange. But here you can see there's lots of surface area. That's a microscopic picture of the damaged air sacs. And here you can see how the air sacs, whole patches of them, become damaged inside the lungs. All right, so they are normal air sacs again, and normal bronchioles. And here you can see in a person with emphysema, the bronchioles are narrow and the air sacs are damaged. There's not as many of them, and therefore the surface area is smaller. All right, then there's something else. So bronchitis this is not in your books, okay, but people are talking a lot about it now because of the coronavirus, that they end up with damage to the lungs and pneumonia. So pneumonia is also an infection of the lungs. So it could be viral, bacterial, or even fungal. So those air sacs get inflamed as well. And once again, lots of fluid, mucus, pus, and then it collects in the actual air sacs. So here's an X-ray. There's the watery fluid that's collected in the person's right lung. And it's because the little air sacs become full with fluid, and then not enough gases exchange occurs. So they are very, very short of breath. There's a normal air sac where normal gases exchange can occur between the blood vessel, the capillary, and the air sac. All right, now I've got a video uploaded for you. It's called COPD. COPD is chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. So that's something that someone might get when they are much older, like in their 60s. So if they've been smoking for many years, then it gradually becomes worse and worse and worse, and then they end up with these lung problems and breathing difficulties. So they could end up with emphysema. They could have chronic long-term inflammation of the bronchioles. So they might not even realize it. It's just been so long and getting worse and worse over time that eventually they find they get very tired just walking up the stairs. All right, but it can be, the symptoms can be treated to try and make it a little bit less obstructive. All right, so what I want you to do is to go and watch that video on COPD and watch the 2 short videos on the robotic assisted surgery for removing a cancerous part of the lung. And in the next lesson is where you're going to have a soperative quiz on all of this work, and it will count for the term, and there will also be another task for you to do. Okay. So breathe safely. Okay, clean air, people.